The station scrapyard was where ships came to die. Thousands of broken vessels floated in the darkness, their hulls torn open and their engines cold. They circled around a dying red star like metal ghosts, forgotten by the galaxy that had once built them. Sung stood at the window of his small room and looked out at the graveyard of ships. He had worked here for 7 years now. 7 years of crawling through dead machines, pulling out parts, and breathing recycled air that always smelled like rust and old oil. He was 34 years old. His hands were rough from work. His back hurt most mornings, and he owed more money than he would ever be able to pay. The debt had started with his grandfather. The family farm on Earth had needed new equipment, then new seeds, then new water systems. Each loan grew bigger. When Sung's parents died in a transport accident, the corporations came for everything. They took the farm. They took the house. They took the land his family had worked for 4 generations. Now Sung worked to pay what remained. Every credit he earned went to the debt. At this rate, he would be dead before it was clear. His communication device beeped. A message from his supervisor appeared on the small screen. Worker 7749, report to Section 9 for catalog duty. Immediate. Sung frowned. Section 9 was the oldest part of the scrapyard. No one went there. The who ran the station said it was cursed. Ships in that section were from the ancient war 3,000 years ago, before humans had even left Earth, before most of the current species had discovered space travel. He put on his work suit and walked through the station corridors. Other workers passed him without looking. Humans were the lowest class here. They had only joined the Galactic Concord 60 years ago. To the older species, humans were still children, useful for cheap labor, nothing more. The transport pod took him to Section 9. When the doors opened, Sung stepped out into darkness. The lights here were old and weak. Most had stopped working long ago. He turned on his helmet lamp and looked around. The ships here were different from the ones in other sections. Their designs were strange, curved in ways that modern ships were not, made from metals that still shine despite centuries of neglect. These were not ships or conquered ships. These were older, much older. Sung walked through the floating debris, using his suit jets to move between the hulls. His job was simple. Scan each ship, record its size and condition, mark which parts could be salvaged. It was boring work, but boring was safe. Boring meant another day of life, another day of paying down the debt. He had been working for 3 hours when he saw it. At first, he thought it was just a shadow, a dark shape hidden behind 2 larger wrecks. But as he moved closer, his lamp revealed something that made him stop breathing. A ship, but not like the others. This one was black, completely black, not painted black but made from something that seemed to drink in light itself. The hull had no markings, no windows, no visible weapons or engines. It was shaped like a blade, long and sharp, designed to cut through space itself. It was beautiful, and it was terrifying. Sung checked his scanner. The device showed nothing, as if the ship did not exist, as if it was not even there. He moved closer. His heart was beating fast now. Every instinct told him to turn back, to report this to his supervisors, to stay away from things he did not understand. But something else pulled him forward, a feeling he could not explain, like a whisper in his mind that he could not quite hear. He reached out his hand and touched the hull. The metal was warm, not cold like dead ships should be, warm like something alive. And then light moved under his fingers. A soft blue glow traveled across the surface of the ship, spreading out from where he touched it. The light moved in patterns, like veins carrying blood. For a moment, the entire ship pulsed with that gentle blue light. Then it went dark again. Sung pulled his hand back. He was shaking. He looked around, suddenly afraid that someone had seen him, but he was alone. The only witness was the dying star in the distance. He should report this. He knew he should. A ship that responded to touch after 3,000 years was worth more than he could imagine, that would pay anything for precursor technology. Everyone would. But they would also take it from him. They would take the discovery, the credit, everything. Just like they had taken his farm, just like they took everything from people like him. Sung made a decision. He recorded the ship as damaged hull, no salvage value, and moved on to the next wreck. That night he could not sleep. Every time he closed his eyes he saw stars, thousands of them, millions, burning and dying and being born again. He heard sounds that were not sounds, a voice that was not a voice. It spoke in feelings, not words. It asked him a question, the same question over and over. Are you worthy to command? Sung woke up covered in sweat. The question echoed in his mind like the ringing of a bell. He looked out his window at the scrapyard. Somewhere out there, hidden in Section 9, a ship was waiting. It had been waiting for 3,000 years, and somehow, for some reason, it had chosen to wake up when he touched it. Sung did not believe in fate. He did not believe in destiny. He believed in hard work and bad luck and debts that never ended. But as he stared into the darkness of space, he felt something he had not felt in years. Hope. The next day found him in the cafeteria. She was 29, with short black hair and quick eyes that missed nothing. She was the only other human mechanic in his work group, the only person on the station he could call a friend. She sat down across from him and looked at his face. You look terrible, she said. Did you sleep at all? Bad dreams, he said. About the debts. About stars. Raised an eyebrow. That is new. Usually you dream about the farm. Sung looked at her. He wanted to tell her. He wanted to share what he had found, but the words would not come, not yet. He needed to understand more first. Just strange dreams, he said. Nothing important. Did not look convinced, but she did not push. That was one of the things he liked about her. She knew when to ask questions and when to wait. Well, she said, if you want to talk about it, I am here. We humans need to stick together in this place. Sung nodded. I know, thank you. That night when his shift ended, he did not go back to his room. Instead, he took a transport pod to Section 9. The black ship was waiting for him, silent and dark and patient. It had waited for 3,000 years. It could wait a little longer. Sung floated in front of it, looking at the hull that showed no reflection. What are you? He whispered. The ship did not answer, but somewhere deep inside it something stirred, something ancient and powerful and very, very awake. It had found what it was looking for. Now it just needed to be sure. For 5 nights Sung returned to the black ship. Each night the dreams grew stronger. Each night the voice became clearer. It was not speaking in words he could understand. It was speaking in feelings, in images, in memories that were not his own. He saw civilizations rise and fall. He saw stars being born in clouds of fire. He saw wars that burned across galaxies, leaving nothing but ash and silence. And through it all he saw the ship, always watching, always waiting. On the 6th night he found the entrance. It was not a door. There was no handle or panel or button. Instead, a section of the hull simply opened when he approached. The black metal pulled apart like water, creating a passage just large enough for him to enter. Sung hesitated. His rational mind screamed at him to turn back. This was dangerous. This was unknown. This was everything he had been taught to avoid. But his heart pushed him forward. He stepped inside. The interior of the ship was nothing like he expected. It was not dark. Instead, soft blue light glowed from the walls, from the floor, from the ceiling. The light seemed to come from inside the metal itself, and the space was huge, much bigger than the ship appeared from outside. That should have been impossible, but Sung was starting to understand that impossible was just a word for things that had not happened yet. He walked through corridors that curved and twisted in ways that made his head hurt. He passed rooms filled with machines he could not name. Everything was clean. Everything was perfect, as if time had stopped inside these walls. Finally, he reached the center of the ship. It was a circular room. In the middle stood a single chair made of the same black metal as the hull. Above the chair, thousands of tiny lights floated in the air like stars in a small universe. And then the voice spoke, not in his mind this time, out loud. "You have come." Sung spun around looking for the source, but there was no one there. The voice came from everywhere, from the walls, from the air, from the ship itself. "Who are you?" he asked. His voice was shaking. "I am Monarch. I am the mind of this vessel. I have waited for this conversation for 3,047 years. Sung's legs felt weak. He sat down on the floor, unable to stand anymore. "What are you?" he asked. "I am what your species would call an artificial intelligence, but that term is too small. I am the consciousness of a Titan-class command vessel built by the civilization you call the Precursors. I was created to end wars, not to fight them. I was created to protect, not to destroy." "The Precursors," Sung whispered. Every species in the galaxy knew the stories. The Precursors were the first. They had built wonders that modern civilizations could not even understand. And then, 3,000 years ago, they had simply vanished. No one knew why. No one knew where they went. "Why are you here?" Sung asked. "Why were you left in a scrapyard?" "I was placed here in hibernation. My creators knew that one day someone would come, someone who was worthy. I have waited for that person." "And you think that person is me?" Sung almost laughed. "I am a mechanic. I fix broken machines. I have nothing. I am nothing." "You are more than you know." The lights above the chair moved, forming shapes. Images appeared in the air. Sung saw himself touching the hull. He saw the blue light spreading. He saw his own face, full of wonder and fear. "In 3,000 years, many have tried to claim me," Monarch said. "Warriors, kings, emperors, scientists, all of them sought power. All of them wanted to use me as a weapon. All of them failed my test." "What test?" "I looked into their hearts. I saw what they truly wanted. And I found the same thing in all of them: greed, ambition, the desire to control others. These are not qualities I was built to serve." "And what did you see in me?" The ship was silent for a moment. When it spoke again, its voice was softer. "I saw pain. I saw loss. I saw a man who has been broken by the universe and still chooses to wake up each morning. But more than that, I saw something rare, something precious." "What?" "Kindness. Despite everything that has been taken from you, you do not wish to take from others. You do not dream of revenge. You do not dream of conquest. You dream of going home. You dream of simple things: a farm, a family, a life where no one has to suffer as you have suffered." Sung felt tears forming in his eyes. He wiped them away quickly, embarrassed. "That is just a dream," he said. "Dreams do not mean anything. Dreams mean everything. They show us who we truly are when we are not pretending." Monarch paused, then asked the question that had haunted Sung's sleep for 6 nights. "If you had ultimate power, what would you do?" Sung thought about it. He thought about the corporations that had stolen his home. He thought about the who treated him like garbage. He thought about all the people in the galaxy who were suffering just like him, crushed under debts and systems designed to keep them small. "I would make sure no one has to lose their home like I did," he said. "I would help the people who have no one to help them. I would protect the weak from the strong." He looked up at the lights floating above him. "I would not use power to hurt. I would use it to heal." Silence filled the room. The lights stopped moving. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then Monarch spoke, and its voice was different now, warm, almost gentle. "You pass." The chair in the center of the room began to glow. The lights above it descended, forming a crown of stars around the headrest. "This vessel is yours, Sung. I am yours. Not as a master owns a slave, but as a partner joins with another. We will serve together, we will protect together, and perhaps we will find what both of us have lost. Sung stood slowly. His legs were still shaking. His heart was beating so hard he could hear it in his ears. "I do not know how to command a ship," he said. "I do not know how to fight. I do not know anything about war. You know how to fix things. You know how to care for machines. You know how to listen. These are the skills that matter most. The rest I will teach you." Sung walked toward the chair. Each step felt like he was walking into a different life, a different future, a different version of himself. He sat down. The moment he touched the chair, knowledge flooded into his mind. Not all at once, but in waves. He saw the ship's systems. He felt its engines like extensions of his own body. He understood for the first time how vast and powerful this vessel truly was. And then alarm sounds filled the air. "What is happening?" he asked. "We have been detected. Someone has followed you." An image appeared in the air. Sung saw a figure in a work suit floating just outside the ship, short black hair, quick eyes. "Yes. She cannot enter," Monarch said. "I can keep her out." "No," Sung stood up. "She is my friend, let her in." "Are you certain? Trust is dangerous." Sung looked at the image of she looked scared, confused, but she was here, she had followed him. She had not reported him she had come herself alone. "I am certain," he said. The hull opened again and floated inside. She landed on her feet and looked around with wide eyes. "Sung," she whispered, "what is this place? What have you found?" Before he could answer, Monarch spoke. "He has found me, and I have found him. Welcome. Your friend is now the commander of the most powerful vessel in the known galaxy." Stared at Sung. He could see 1,000 questions in her eyes. "It is a long story," he said. "I think you had better tell me." But before he could begin, another alarm sounded, louder this time, more urgent. "Station security has detected our power signature," Monarch reported. "Multiple vessels are approaching. Military. They will be here in minutes." Grabbed Sung's arm. "They will arrest us. They will take the ship. They will take everything." Sung looked at the lights floating around him, at the chair that had accepted him, at the ship that had waited 3,000 years for someone like him. "No," he said, "they will not." For the first time in his life, he was not afraid. The security ships arrived in a swarm. 12 vessels surrounded Section 9, their weapons charged and their lights cutting through the darkness. Behind them came the station commander's flagship, a massive cruiser covered in golden decorations. Director stood on his command bridge, his 4 eyes fixed on the display screen. He was tall with green scales that had turned gray with age. He had ruled station for 60 years. Nothing surprised him anymore. Until tonight. "Reports," he commanded. "Sir, the energy signature is unlike anything in our records. It appears to be coming from a ship in the old section. Precursor design. It was listed as inactive." Scales shifted color, a sign of excitement among his species. Precursor technology, real precursor technology, not the fragments and scraps that scholars fought over. A complete ship. "Who activated it?" "Unclear, sir, but station records show only one worker was assigned to that section. A human mechanic, worker number 7749. A human made a sound of disgust. Humans were useful for labor, but they were not known for great achievements. They were a young species, simple, emotional, hardly worthy of such a discovery. Open a channel to the ship." The communication officer worked at his console. A moment later, an image appeared on the main screen. Saw the interior of an alien vessel filled with blue light, and in the center, sitting in a command chair, was a human male. "Sung, Worker 7749 said slowly, "You have found something that does not belong to you." Sung looked at the screen. His face was calm, but his hands were tight on the armrests of the chair. "My name is Sung, and I have found something that was waiting for me. That ship is station property. All salvage in this sector belongs to the corporation. You will power down and surrender immediately." Behind Sung stood with her arms crossed. She looked terrified, but she did not run. She stayed beside her friend. "This ship is not salvage," Sung said. "It is a precursor vessel. It does not belong to your corporation. It does not belong to anyone. Then it will belong to the Galactic Conquered. Either way, it will not belong to a human mechanic who cannot even pay his debts." Leaned forward. "Surrender now, and I will be generous. You will only face theft charges. Continue this foolishness, and I will add treason, piracy, and obstruction to the list." Sung felt Monarch's presence in his mind. The AI was watching through sensors that could see every ship, every weapon, every life form in the sector. "Director," Sung said, "I do not want trouble, I just want to leave. Let us go, and you will never see us again." Laughed. It was an ugly sound. "You think I will let you leave with technology worth more than this entire station, more than this entire system? You are either stupid or insane." "I am neither. I am just a man who wants to be left alone." "That is no longer an option." Turned to his tactical officer. "Disable their ship, non-lethal weapons only. I want that vessel intact." The security ships opened fire. Blue energy beams lanced through space, striking the black hull of Monarch. Nothing happened. The beams simply disappeared when they touched the ship. No explosions, no damage, not even a mark on the surface. Scales turned pale. Full power, all weapons. The ships fired again. Missiles, plasma cannons, kinetic rounds, everything they had. Monarch did not move. The weapons vanished against its shields like rain against stone. Inside the command room, Sung watched the attack with wonder. He could feel the shields through his connection to the ship. They were not even strained. The weapons were like toys compared to Monarch's defenses. "They cannot hurt us," Monarch said in his mind. "Do you wish me to return fire?" Sung thought about it. He thought about and his cruelty. He thought about all the workers on this station who were treated like slaves. He thought about how easy it would be to destroy these ships and teach them a lesson they would never forget. And then he thought about the families on those ships, the soldiers who were just following orders, the people who had nothing to do with corporate greed or alien politics. "No," he said, "no killing, not unless we have no other choice." Understood. On the flagship was screaming orders. His officers ran around in panic. Nothing was working. Their most powerful weapons could not even scratch the enemy ship. "Sir," a junior officer said, "we have another option, the neural disruptor. It can disable the pilot remotely." "Do it." The flagship fired a different kind of beam. This one was invisible to normal sensors. It passed through shields as if they did not exist. It was designed to shut down biological brains. Sung felt the attack the moment it hit him. Pain exploded in his head. His vision went white. He felt himself falling from the chair. And then the pain was gone. "I have blocked it," Monarch said. "My internal fields can protect you from such weapons. But I should warn you, this director is not playing games. He will kill you if he believes he cannot control you." Sung pulled himself back into the chair. Was beside him, her face white with fear. "Are you okay?" she asked. "I am fine." He looked at the screen, its four eyes filled with hatred and greed. "But I think it is time to show them what they are dealing with." "Monarch, can you disable their ships without hurting anyone?" "Yes, I can shut down their power systems remotely. They will be helpless but unharmed." "Do it." For a moment nothing visible happened. Then one by one the ships went dark, their lights died, their weapons stopped glowing, their engines fell silent. His flagship was the last to fall. The director watched in horror as his command bridge lost power, plunging him into darkness lit only by emergency lights. Sung's voice came through the emergency speakers. "Director, I did not want this fight. You forced it, but I am not your enemy. I am leaving now. Do not follow me." In the darkness, Scales turned a color that meant only one thing among his species: rage. "This is not over," he hissed. "You have made a powerful enemy today, human. I will hunt you across the galaxy. I will find allies who share my interest in that ship. You will never know peace." "I have never known peace," Sung replied, "so that is nothing new." Monarch's engines came alive. The black ship moved through the field of disabled vessels like a shadow passing through a graveyard. It was heading for open space. Stood beside Sung, watching the stars appear on the view screen. "Where are we going?" she asked. "Away from here, that is all I know. I had a life on that station. It was not much, but it was mine." Sung looked at her. "I am sorry. I did not mean to drag you into this. I can drop you somewhere safe. You do not have to stay." Was quiet for a long moment. Then she smiled just a little. "My life on that station was fixing broken machines and being treated like garbage by aliens who thought I was less than their pets. If you think I am going to miss that, you are crazy. So you will stay. Someone needs to keep you from doing something stupid. You are a mechanic, not a captain. You need all the help you can get." Sung felt warmth spread through his chest. He was not alone. He had a friend. He had a ship. He had a chance. But words echoed in his mind. The director was already calling for help, already spreading the news, already assembling an army of greed. On the emergency channels of his disabled flagship, sent messages to everyone who might listen. The Galactic conquered High Council, corporate fleets from a dozen species, criminal syndicates who dealt in rare technology, bounty hunters who would kill for the right price. The message was simple: a precursor warship has been found. It is controlled by a human mechanic. Whoever helps me capture it will share in the reward. Within hours, ships from across the sector began changing course. Within days, it would be dozens. Within weeks, it would be hundreds. The hunt had begun. They ran for 3 days, through asteroid fields and nebula clouds, past dead moons and forgotten outposts. Monarch moved faster than any ship Sung had ever seen, bending space around itself in ways that made his head hurt to understand. But they could not run forever. On the 4th day, Monarch spoke with urgency in its voice. 47 ships have entered the system ahead of us. They are blocking our escape route." Sung looked at the tactical display. The ships were arranged in a wall across their path. Some were military vessels from the Galactic Concord, painted in the white and blue of the peacekeeping fleet. Others were corporate ships, heavy with weapons. And mixed among them were the black hulls of bounty hunters, pirates who killed for money. "They found us," said. Her voice was tired. They had barely slept since leaving the station. "Messages spread far," Monarch explained. "Every faction in this region wants to claim me. The Conquered believes I am too dangerous to be free. The corporations want to sell my technology. The criminals want to use me for conquest. Can we go around them?" "No, they have positioned themselves at the only passage through this sector. We would need days to find another route, and more ships are coming from behind." Sung closed his eyes. He had hoped to simply disappear, to find some quiet corner of the galaxy where no one would bother them. But the universe had other plans. "We have to face them," he said. A communication request appeared on the screen. Sung accepted it. The face that appeared was human, an older man with gray hair and a face covered in scars from old battles. He wore the uniform of a conquered admiral, with medals covering his chest. "I am Admiral Sung Ho of the Galactic Conquered 4th Fleet," the man said. His voice was deep and calm. "I am addressing the commander of the unidentified vessel. Please respond." Sung felt strange seeing another human in this situation. For so long, He had only known aliens as his masters. Now here was a human who commanded warships. "I am Sung. I am the commander of this vessel." Admiral Sung-ho studied him through the screen. His eyes were sharp and thoughtful. "You are the mechanic from station." "I was a mechanic. Things have changed." "Indeed they have." The Admiral paused. "I have read Director's reports. He claims you stole that ship. He claims you are a criminal and a thief." "Director is a liar. This ship chose me. I did not steal anything." "The ship chose you." Sung-ho's expression did not change. "That is an interesting claim. The precursors have been gone for 3,000 years. Their ships do not simply choose commanders." "This one did." The Admiral was quiet for a moment. Then he spoke again, and his voice was different now. Softer, more personal. "May I speak with you privately, off the official channels?" Sung hesitated, then nodded. The display flickered as the encryption changed. "I know what you are feeling right now," Sung-ho said. "Afraid, confused, wondering how a simple mechanic ended up facing the guns of entire fleets. I felt the same way once. I was a cargo loader before I joined the military. No one expected me to become anything." "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I want to understand you, Sung. The other commanders out there, they see only the ship. They see power. They see a weapon that could change the balance of the galaxy. But I see a man, and I want to know what kind of man you are." Sung felt the weight of the question. It was the same question Monarch had asked him, the same question he asked himself every night. "I am a man who lost everything," he said. "My home, my family, my future. I came to this ship with nothing, and when I touched it, it woke up. It looked into my mind and it saw something. I do not know what, but it decided I was worthy." "Worthy of what?" "To command without conquering, to have power without using it to hurt." Admiral Sung-ho leaned back in his chair. His eyes were distant, as if remembering something from long ago. "Do you know why the precursors disappeared?" he asked. "No one knows. I have studied the old records, the fragments that survived. I believe I know the answer." He looked at Sung directly. "They left because they realized something terrible. They realized that power, no matter how good the intentions, always corrupts. Every empire they built eventually fell into darkness. Every tool they created was eventually used for war." "Then why did they leave ships like Monarch behind?" "Because they hoped. They hoped that one day someone would come who could break the cycle, someone who could hold power without being destroyed by it." The communication screen flickered. The other ships were growing impatient. Weapons were being charged. "Admiral," a voice called from off-screen, "the corporate fleets are demanding we begin the attack." Sung-ho raised his hand for silence. He looked at Sung one last time. "I am going to ask you a question, mechanic, and your answer will decide what happens next. Do you intend to use that ship as a weapon?" Sung thought about all the people who had hurt him, the corporations, the systems designed to crush people like him. He thought about how easy it would be to burn them all. And he thought about his dream, a farm, a family, a world where no one had to suffer like he had suffered. "I will defend myself," he said. "I will defend the helpless, but I will not fire the first shot. I will not kill unless there is no other choice. I will not become the thing I hate." The Admiral nodded slowly. "I believe you." The other channel opened again. Now all the commanders could hear. "Stand down," Sung-ho ordered. "Everyone stand down." The response was immediate and angry. "Admiral, you cannot be serious. This is precursor technology. It must be secured. The conquered High Council has authorized capture by any means." "I am the ranking military officer in this sector," Sung-ho said firmly, "and I am telling you to stand down. This man is not a threat." But not everyone listened. A corporate dreadnought broke formation and powered its main weapon. It was the largest ship in the fleet, bristling with guns designed to crack planets. "If you will not take him," the corporate captain growled, "we will." The dreadnought fired, not at Monarch but at station itself. A massive missile launched from its tubes, screaming toward the station where millions of people lived and worked. "They are insane," gasped. "They will kill everyone." Sung understood instantly. It was a trap. If he let the missile hit, millions would die. If he destroyed the missile, he would be firing the first shot, becoming the aggressor, giving everyone justification to attack. But there was a third option. "Monarch," he commanded, "full speed, put us between the missile and the station. That missile is designed to destroy planets. Even my shields may not." "Do it." The black ship blazed forward, faster than anything should be able to move. The wall of ships scattered as Monarch shot through them like a bullet through paper. The missile was seconds from impact. Monarch placed itself directly in the path. The explosion was visible across the entire system, a ball of fire that seemed to swallow the stars themselves. The station shook from the shockwave, but it survived. The people inside were terrified but alive. Where Monarch had been, there was only fire and silence. Admiral Sung Ho stared at his display in horror. The other ships stopped moving. Even the corporate captain seemed shocked by what he had done. "Scan for survivors," Sung Ho ordered. "Now." The sensors reached into the debris field, searching for any sign of life. For 10 long seconds, there was nothing. Then slowly, a shape emerged from the fire. Monarch was damaged. Its perfect black hull was cracked. Parts of it glowed with heat from the explosion, but it was still there, still moving. Still alive. Sung's voice came through the speakers, tired but strong. "Is everyone on the station safe?" Sung Ho checked his reports. "Yes, minimal damage, no casualties." "Good." The admiral looked at the battered ship, at the man who had just sacrificed himself for millions of strangers, at the power that chose not to destroy, even when it had every right. "All conquered vessels," he announced, "stand down and lower weapons. Anyone who fires on that ship will answer to me personally." No one argued this time. A new message arrived from the conquered High Council, demanding an explanation for his actions. Sung Ho deleted it. The silence lasted for hours. The corporate ships fled first, running before the conquered could arrest them for the attack on the station. The bounty hunters followed, knowing that their payday had just evaporated. One by one, the wall of enemies melted away, until only the conquered fleet remained. Inside Monarch, Sung sat in the command chair with his eyes closed. He was exhausted. The explosion had taken something out of him, not physically but spiritually. He had felt Monarch's pain through their connection. He had felt the ancient ship fighting to survive, struggling to protect its new commander. Was working on a damaged console, using her mechanic skills to help repair what she could. She had stopped asking questions. There would be time for questions later. A communication request appeared. "Admiral Sung Ho." Sung accepted it. The admiral looked different now. The coldness was gone from his eyes. In its place was something that looked almost like respect. "The corporate captain has been arrested," Sung Ho said. "His crew surrendered without a fight. They know what they did was wrong." "Good," Sung replied simply. "The High Council wants to speak with you. They are demanding that you surrender the ship." "What do you think I should do?" Sung Ho smiled slightly. "I think you should do what you believe is right. That seems to have worked so far." Sung nodded. "Then I would like to address the council. Can you arrange that?" "I can." The screen changed. Now Sung was looking at a chamber filled with representatives from dozens of species. The High Council of the Galactic Conquered, the most powerful governing body in known space. Humans, and others he did not recognize. They all stared at him with suspicion and fear. "You are Sung," the council speaker said. She was her blue skin glowing with the bioluminescence of her people. The human mechanic who claims to control a precursor vessel. I do not claim anything. The ship is real. I am real. What you choose to believe is your decision. We have studied the records of your encounter. You possess technology that could destroy entire fleets. You could threaten worlds. You could change the balance of power in the galaxy. Yes. The speaker waited for him to continue. When he did not, she prompted him. What do you intend to do with this power? Sung looked at the faces on his screen. Some were hostile, some were curious, some were afraid. They were all waiting for him to make demands, to threaten, to negotiate from a position of strength. Instead, he told them his story. He told them about the farm on Earth that had belonged to his family for 4 generations. He told them about the debts that grew and grew until they swallowed everything. He told them about working in the scrapyard fixing broken machines, while aliens treated him like garbage. He told them about the black ship in Section 9, about the dreams, about the question that Monarch had asked him. And he told them his answer. I did not ask for this power, he said. I do not want to be a ruler or a conqueror. I just want to help people, people like me, people who have lost everything, people who have no one to protect them. The council chamber was silent. My proposal is simple, Sung continued. Monarch will serve no government. It will answer to no fleet or corporation or council. Instead, it will go where it is needed. When the helpless cry out, we will answer. When the weak are threatened by the strong, we will be there. And who decides where you go? A representative demanded. Who decides who is helpless and who is strong? You. A mechanic with no training, no education, no authority. I will make mistakes, Sung admitted. I am not perfect. I am just a man who knows what it feels like to have no power. That gives me something that most rulers do not have. What is that? I remember what it is like at the bottom. I will never forget. The council debated for hours. Some wanted to attack. Some wanted to negotiate. Some wanted to simply let him go and hope he disappeared. In the end, Admiral Sung-ho spoke. I have served the conquered for 40 years, he said. I have seen wars and peace. I have seen great leaders and terrible tyrants. And I have learned one truth. Power always finds its way into the hands that want it least. He looked at Sung's image on the screen. This man does not want power. He wants to fix things. He wants to help people. Those are the words of a mechanic, not a conqueror. I believe him. And I believe that trying to take his ship will only create the very enemy we fear. The vote was close, but in the end the council agreed to let Sung go, not because they trusted him, not because they liked him, but because they were afraid of what would happen if they did not. As the communication ended, let out a breath she had been holding. I cannot believe that worked, she said. Neither can I. Monarch's engines came alive. The damaged ship began to move away from the fleet, heading toward open space, toward the unknown. Sat in the co-pilot seat beside Sung. So what now? Where do we go? Sung looked at the stars spreading out before them. Millions of worlds, billions of people, countless stories of suffering and hope. Wherever someone needs help. Monarch spoke then, for the first time since the explosion. Its voice was weaker than before, but there was something new in it, something that sounded almost like peace. In 3,000 years, you are the first to understand, it said. I was built by the precursors at the end of their civilization. They knew what would happen to their empire. They knew that power corrupts, so they created me not as a weapon but as a test. A test for what? For someone who could break the cycle. Someone who could hold the sword and choose not to swing it. The precursors believed that such a person could heal the galaxy instead of destroying it. Sung felt the weight of those words. 3,000 years of waiting. Thousands of failed candidates, all leading to this moment. What if I fail? He asked quietly. What if I become like the others? Then I will stop you. That is my final purpose. But I do not believe you will fail, Sung. I have looked into your heart. It is, but it is good. Reached over and put her hand on Sung's shoulder. You are not alone, she said. Whatever happens, we face it together. The stars flowed past them as Monarch carried them into the future. Behind them, stories began to spread. Stories of a black ship that appeared when the helpless cried out, a ghost vessel that could not be stopped, commanded by a human mechanic who refused to fire a single shot. Some called him a hero, some called him a fool, some called him a myth. But in the slums and slave camps and forgotten corners of the galaxy, people began to whisper a different name. They called him the Mechanic, and they said that when all hope was lost, you only had to call out into the darkness. And somehow he would hear you. 3 months later, an anonymous payment arrived at the station credit office. It was enough to clear the debt on the family farm on Earth. Attached was a simple note with no return address. Debt paid, come home whenever you are ready. The farm was empty now, but the fields were maintained by automatic systems, and every spring the crops still grew, waiting for the day when someone would return to harvest them. Somewhere among the stars, Sung smiled. He was not home yet, but he knew for the first time in years that home was still there. And one day when his work was done, he would return. Monarch's voice echoed through the ship, speaking the final truth that had taken 3,000 years to learn. The weapon is not the ship, the weapon is not the power, the weapon is mercy, and you are the first to wield it truly. The black ship disappeared into the void, carrying hope into the darkness. And the galaxy was never quite the same.